Yeah guys, today we're going over the difference between pro players and bad players. When I say bad players, I don't mean players with bad mechanics or bad aim. What I mean is players that have good mechanics and solid aim, but still don't place good. So today we're going over why in the world some players with incredible mechanics and insane aim still don't perform well in tournaments. The first contrast between a pro player and a player who never places in tournaments is how they control the tempo in the fights they find themselves in. By controlling the tempo, I mean knowing when to be aggressive, knowing when to play slow, knowing when to play defensively, and of course knowing when to play defensive aggressively. A lot of non-pro players that have the needed mechanics and aim to be a pro only fight at a high level in one tempo, whether that be aggressively or defensively. This is something we see all the time. Players who box up as soon as they get into a fight, or players who play aggressively and build fight as soon as a fight starts. Knowing how to play both aggressively and defensively at a high level is an absolute must if you want to go pro in this game. The next thing pros do that others don't is reading the player they are fighting. And this is a skill that no one ever seems to talk about, but it is actually completely career changing. A lot of players at a lower level do the same things for every player they fight. The same builds and edits, but players at a high level recognize certain patterns against the players they fight. Do they insta-open edits when playing defensively so you can go for a pre-fire? Do they play height only so you can chop them down multiple times? Or do they play super aggressively so you can simply just play patiently and win? When playing, you want to always pay attention to the opponent. You want to have awareness over him at all times and do only what's necessary to eliminate him. If you can play based on his weaknesses, for instance, if he's over-aggressive, then you do that. But other times, you need to set the pace of the fight you find yourself in. But of course, most importantly, you need to read the player in every fight you take, because every player has a different idea of how to win fights and games. Another massive contrast between pros and non-pros is confidence. Confidence is one of the biggest factors behind succeeding at the highest level in this game. You gotta believe in your own ability to play better than everyone else. One common weakness that I see in a lot of low-level players is giving up when you get tagged for over 150 damage in a fight. When they get tagged for 150 or even 185, it almost seems as though they think, I've lost this fight. And this couldn't be further from the truth. When you get hit for 150 plus, that's when your opponent by far will be the most prone to making mistakes. And that's when it's super easy for us to get a counter damage shot off, because most players naturally become very aggressive when they deal this kind of damage. To show that you're a confident player, you need to fight back with everything you have, even when you get tagged for a ton of damage. Then the opponent might start to think, okay, this guy is really fighting back. Next up, a lot of low-tier players don't realize the fact that in order to go pro, you have to be able to do simple things consistently. What I mean by this is the fact that a lot of players mess up edits every once in a while or mess up shots every now and then. And these edits and these shots cause them to die in games they really shouldn't die in. Just try and remember, if you want to go pro, that you must be able to do simple things more consistently than most. The fifth contrast between high-tier and low-tier players is how they handle nerves. Nervousness is unfortunately a factor that limits people's success in this game heavily. But luckily for us, there are some ways to fix our nerves. I've been saying this in multiple videos, but play 2 cash cups and just W key everyone. That way, you will see that even top-tier players are super beatable as long as you're confident. If you don't want a W key to cash cups, then try getting into a custom server like Noble 24/7 or just pro customs in your region. By playing pro customs against pros, you'll realize that they really don't do anything special, and you'll improve so much from playing these kinds of customs. I was originally only gonna do 5 contrasts between pro players and low-tier players, but let me add one more for you all. And this one is honestly super important. One of the biggest contrasts between pros and your everyday Fortnite grinders is how they tackle a mistake when they find it in their game. A bad player would find a mistake in their game like inconsistent editing mechanics and not specifically think of a way to improve that one weakness. A pro player, on the other hand, would isolate that weakness and build a routine around specifically improving that inconsistency. They would play dedicated edit maps to fix it, put themselves in awkward situations to practice the edits they found that they usually miss, and do everything in their power to make sure those inconsistent edits became consistent. And I really recommend adapting this kind of mindset. It will get you far in anything in life. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all so very much for watching all the way to the end, and I really hope to see you all tomorrow. Other than that, please go on to have a fantastic day. My name is MaryTM. Stay safe and take care.